Sinha. And now I would like to invite Dr. Protiva Kunduji to share her insights. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I will focus on school education. Already, Aditya has a presentation, and Professor Khadria has also very nicely portrayed the overview. I'll add fewer points from the perspective of education. So, I mean, already Sir has said that the total fiscal headroom this year is around 51 lakh crore. And when we look at the budget, we have seen that it has been predicted the economy will grow at 10.1% rate. If we look at the receipt side, total receipt has also increased by around 7%. And even the tax revenue component has also increased. Tax to GDP ratio is at 12%, which is stagnant, not increased, but it is actually, it's maintained from the last budget estimate. In this fiscal headroom, we have got a budget of around 1.28 lakh crore, where 61% is going to Department of School Education and 39% to Department of Higher Education. Now, the, if we compare the Department of School Education's budget from the previous year's budget estimate, it's around 7.6% increase. In absolute terms, it is 64 crore. And that is largely on account of the increase in the budget of Samagra Shiksha Abhijan. And here, whatever figures we are saying, it's all in nominal terms. So if we convert into real terms, actually there is hardly any increase, very marginal increase. But if this budget converted into the total ministry's education budget converted into in terms of country's GDP, it comes out as 0.22%. And which was in 2023-24 actual figure, if we take, then also it was around 0.4% of GDP. So again, there is a decline. Now, we are talking about national education policy. We are talking about meeting the goals of or recommendations suggested in the national education policy, and where one of the commitment is for 6% of GDP, where center and states together will meet that. But only, and we know that education is in concurrent list, but if the responsibility is continuously shifting towards states, and where states are also struggling for revenue mobilization, then I mean, we can see that that particular target, it's far behind. I mean, the 85, 86 target is, we are nowhere near 25 in 25, 26. Overall, currently it's around 3.8% of GDP is being spent on total public education, which is supposed to be 6%, and where union government's contribution is 0.2%. So we can see where we are. Now, let's look at what is the pattern of this budget of school education budget. Now we are focusing the distribution. If we see of the school education budget, the establishment as usual contributes 0.1% of the total budget. The central sector schemes, which is largely the National Means Come Merit Scholarship and Dhruv scheme, which constitutes 0.5% of the budget. So largely the budget is for two components. One is the central sector expenditure on autonomous bodies like Kendriya Vidyalaya and Navodaya Vidyalaya, which constitutes around 19% of the budget, and centrally sponsored schemes, which is like Samagra Shiksha Abhijan, PM Poshan, that constitutes around 80% of the budget. But the question now is, within this composition, these are autonomous body institutions or centrally sponsored schemes, how that budget is getting financed. We look at the budget, and we every year we think about that the gross budgetary support will increase for education, given the education is one of the, I mean, human rights, one of the priorities of government, as said in different policies and commitments. But 81% of this year's budget is getting financed through education cess. And if we look deep dive a little bit, then within schemes, 100% Samagra Shiksha budget, 100% PM Poshan budget, 100% National Means Come Merit Scholarship budget are getting financed through education says. Now, the challenge is that when we look at the CAG report, when they try to look how this the education says is uh, used, we have seen the huge amount of money is actually lying idle. The sales money, what is specifically for dedicated for certain purposes, is not being utilized properly, and so that's why there is challenge that when government is so much focusing on financing education through SES. Now, coming to these specific schemes, the pattern that started for the last 3 4 years, similar pattern is observed in this year's budget. The budget is more towards exemplar schools or model schools like Kendriya Vidyalaya, Navodaya Vidyalaya, and PM3. These three particular type kind of schools, model schools, they constitutes 28% of the school education department's budget. And Samagra Shiksha Abhijan constitutes 52%. Why I brought this comparison? That because this over the Samagra Shiksha Abhijan is the key flagship program which actually caters the larger number of children who are studying in different government and government aided schools. So around 17 crore of children are being served through Samagra Shiksha Abhijan, whereas in Kendriya Vidyalaya, the number of students is around 1.4 crore, in Navodaya Vidyalaya 27 lakh. So if we then convert this expenditure towards KV, Navodaya Vidyalaya, Samagra Shiksha Abhijan, the per student expenditure comes like this. So for Kendriya Vidyalaya, it's 68,000. For Navodaya Vidyalaya, it's 1,92,000. Whereas for any general government or government aided run schools, the per student expenditure is around 2,500. So the way the budget is getting, the design is such that the budget is getting distributed, that more focus is toward exemplary school or exclusivity instead of general universalization of education. Let's talk about PM3. PM3, it has been the 24% increase in PM3's budget. But PM3's target is around 11,920 schools are there at present. Target is 12,000 school. So 11,000 schools, we have given 77,500 crore. But budget is not only about budget estimate, it's also about the spending. So if we look back and look at what was the pattern of spending in 23-24, actually the PM3 not able to spend the PM3 budget was around in 23-24 it was around uh, 4,000 crore, and it has spent only 1,200 crore. So there is huge unspent balances under this scheme. Similarly, PM Poshan, it has been said that because of the inflation, there is need for increase in revising the unit cost, and the unit cost for PM Poshan has changed. It has now point 0.5 for primary schools, 5 rupees 45 paise to 6 rupees 19 paise, for upper primary 9 rupees to, sorry, 8 rupees to 9 rupees. But midday meal budget is actually unchanged. Midday meal, the PM Poshan is unchanged. These are broader picture, but then when we are talking about Bikasit Bharat, so how inclusive is this education budget? That question needs to be answered and needs to be looked at. And when we're talking about inclusivity, the fiscal policy in terms of scholarships or stipends play a very important role, and that is more important for students from marginalized section of population, whether from scheduled caste or scheduled tribe or minorities. Some example. Let's look at the Ministry of Minority Affairs budget. It implements three scholarship: pre-matric, post-matric, and means come merit scholarship. And the budget for the ministry has already, in 2024-25, it has asked for the money to my Ministry of Finance. Already it has got much lesser amount in terms of approval. But what is important, what they have got in 23-24, not able to spend most of the money. So of the 23-24, 3,097 crore was the allocation, and they have surrendered 2,000 crore to the government. And where the money they have surrendered? Post-matric scholarship, 815 crore, because delay in revalidation of application. Free coaching and alliance, 18 crore, because non-disbursal of stipend. Similarly, pre-matric scholarship, 337 crore they have surrendered. So we can see that, and everywhere the reason has been given, that delay in the validation of application by states. So a huge amount of money which is getting surrendered by Ministry of Minority Affairs is mostly for the scholarships. Coming to schedule, the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, a similar picture when it comes to the budget for scholarships. Either those are unchanged or there is marginal increase, whether it's post-matric, pre-matric. But what is the extent of, the how useful that, or how much it is catering, that is very important. Suppose the SC post-matric scholarship, the target was 64, 69 lakh students, whether it has covered only 28 lakh students. Similarly, for pre-matric scholarship, target was for 27 lakh students, it has covered 14 lakh. So again, and for this same similar, for this Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, similar kind of picture, because a huge amount of funds surrendered. And again, this 880 crore for post-matric scholarships, which is basically 14% of the total fund. Then 10% under pre-matric scholarships, then 87% under free coaching and hostels facilities. So these are the very important factors or determinants which actually helps the marginalized children or vulnerable population to be in the system, be part of the completing the education. But these are the areas where we have seen that money is not getting. There is every year there is question of that states are, the blame game is going on. States are not submitting, states are saying that the money is not flowing from the center. And importantly, Ministry of Minority Affairs have reported in its Parliamentary Standing Committee report that after 2021-22 till date, none of the scholarships have actually been approved, whether pre-matric or post-matric scholarships. Ministry of Tribal Affairs in that way is in a better shape, because there is some improvement in terms of budget allocation, and there are new schemes have been launched, and it's a kind of, it will work in convergence, where 13 departments will spend towards that. And again, Eklamber Model Residential School has got a huge budget. But again, if we look at the spending pattern, in 23-24, only 41% budget of the Eklamber Model Residential School was utilized. And they are targeting 740 schools and 38,000 teachers with this huge budget of 7,089 crore. So looking at this pattern of spending in the other departments who are largely responsible in terms of interventions to scholarship, it questions the whole idea of inclusivity in the school education system. And this is actually getting reflected in our next stage, the completion of secondary education, or following that, getting job or employment opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your insights. Now